So welcome, sorry for some small technical setup. What we want to do today here is to kind of do some hands-on work with our data and hopefully create a database. So welcome to everybody online. Maybe we don't have to be watching my private chats. Yeah, so I have a few questions. So how many of you in this room and maybe online have used Prat? Almost everybody. Is there anybody here who used Prat? Do you have it on your machine somewhere ready with you? Cool. Does everybody have Prat installed? Did you install it? The ones who don't have it? How many people do not have Prat installed? Everybody has the Prat installed. Cool. Excellent. What about online? Please, for the online people, the way how this room is arranged, the chat and everything is behind me. So I would ask you to just put your mic on if you want to say anything or have anything to contribute, and just say it. I think I will be able to hear it, and then that will sort of grab my attention, because otherwise I cannot monitor both of those things at the same time. So for those who have not used or installed Prat, you can just go to the website called prat.org, like that. It will prat.org. It will redirect you to the Prat website, which is hosted in the Netherlands. Prat has been developed by Paul Bersma and David Wenig, and it's very well maintained by these very eminent and sort of mature phoneticians. It's been updated all the time, and new versions are being released and all. As we who use Prat kind of appreciate and also dread a little bit, because every new version means that there are some changes which we have to adapt to. Anyway, you can download Prat to any of these systems. So I have a Mac, so I would go here, Windows and Linux and all of the other platforms. It works quite well on many platforms I have tried. And so please, if you haven't done that yet, please do that. It's a very simple installation. The only potential problem is that in some particular operating systems, because what you actually do for this is not an installation type of a thing, it's an exe file. So for Windows, you essentially download exe file and run it on your machine. Unless it's changed very recently, I haven't installed Prat on Windows for a few years. On a Mac, there's the DMG file which you just unpack and it sort of works out of the box. And similarly for the other platforms. So that should be quite straightforward. The only potential problem is that your Windows or Mac operating system might be a little bit reluctant to run an exe file downloaded from the internet. So you have to kind of know what to do. They usually have to hold some key or something like that, put your password in and what have you, something like that. So again, these security things keep changing. So I don't really know precisely what is the current trend. So I hope that the people who are online, the most of them, are working on that right now, and will have the Prat sort of. You don't actually install, you downloaded it, and you can take our word if you sort of didn't make a typo and you got to this. This is a very 80s looking website. This is, by the way, how the first websites looked in the 80s. It's safe. It's like many people here are nodding. We know that. Apart from that, you might become obsessive with the signal processing and sometimes might lose your temper when you try to do Prat scripting. It's relatively safe. I mean, it's perfectly safe for your machine. We are going to be designing a corpus, creating a corpus today. So what is the plan? So we will prepare, hopefully, if all goes well, one little database one little corpus which contains sort of two databases. One which is the North Wind and the Sun in your language, in the language which you have hopefully recorded. Has everybody recorded their nose, wind and the sun? How many people did that? Everybody in the room, excellent. I did as well, by the way. And online, I hope many people did as well. So, and also, I also asked you to do that in English. I hope, yeah. So everybody did that in English as well? No, no, you can, of course. Again, we were talking about that earlier today. You can easily opt out from taking part in this. Absolutely no problem. Perfectly understandable. If you, I don't know, for whatever reason, you don't feel like comfortable sharing the data, or you don't feel comfortable, whatever, reading things in English or reading things in language or reading in general or whatever, you know, it's absolutely fine. I didn't do English version myself. So then we create a metadata table, or we'll do this in parallel, hopefully. And then, of course, and we chop the recordings, which you have recorded, to individual utterances. And then we rename them, those chopped messages, and then we upload them somewhere, or get instruction to uploading them. And then hopefully we will have database. I don't know, we should have about 40 participants. There is 5, 6, 7, 8 sentences, depending on the language. So 40 by, let's say, even 5, that's 200, times 2, the 2 languages for everybody. So it's, what was 200? So 400. So 400 sentences. We might get some results out of that. We'll see. It's a very small database. So what are we hoping to actually see in this database? So we are hoping that something similar to what we saw the world languages, that maybe with a bit of luck, and of course we have to remember that the database is very small, with a bit of luck, we will get some hints of some, you know, distribution of the languages, maybe geographically, correlating to geography. Of course, we have quite a big proportion. We are lucky to have quite a big proportion of representation from Northeast Indian languages, so we will probably be able to zoom a little bit on them and maybe see some topological relationships between them. If we are lucky. If we are not so lucky, it will not really work, but we will learn. Maybe it's also lucky if it doesn't work, because we might learn many ways in which this type of exercise may sort of not work. So let's just dive in and see what happens. So we will create. The Tuukka has prepared some template for the metadata table. Do we have that? Can we share that one? Have you shared it with me? Which way? I'm not particularly sensitive with my screen. So there is this type of a metadata table. Can you share? Did you share it with everybody? Tuukka will send you the request to the email address you provided to us to share. And this is how the table looks like. So I don't know, can you all see it? Probably more or less, yes. So Tuukka created, these are your, this is like your identifier. Just everybody has the row there. This is a little bit scrambled, your email address. Scrambled so that you should be able to recognize it. We just don't want to share all the email addresses for everybody. So it's like a scrambled email address. This is sort of his and etc. etc. And then what you want the information from you, everybody should put some sort of email address, speaker ID. Can this guy, by the way, hold the... let's not start speculating. I'm gonna add one more row here. And I'm gonna put my email address. And so I would create some, you can create any, essentially, sort of user ID. 3 characters. 3 characters, okay? 3 characters, I'm gonna put it here. Three characters. So I can put something like Jur or something like that, you know. It can be part of your name, it can be ABC, it can be anything. Maybe let's start with the letter, and then can be numbers. If we put only numbers, sometimes we do the processing of the lot of data. What can happen is that the machine will interpret that as a number, and you have to kind of keep converting that in the right way. So let's put some letter somewhere there. Then we put your mother tongue. This is the language this is actually sort of essentially any mother tongue you can choose, because we will have the other system for identifying in what language the given recording is actually performed. Okay, so I would, for example, put like Slovak here. City, this might be the place where you live. These are going to be the metadata which we might use for, you know, figuring things out. Maybe here we might be more, because we might sort of put associate the language you are speaking with this city when we are plotting it on the map. So maybe here we will want to put maybe not necessarily the city where you live, but where the language sort of, where did you learn that? Where did that come from? So I would put Nitra, it's an obscure little place in Slovakia. State. Well, this would be for you, would be the state. We don't have, Slovakia is so small that we don't do states. So I would put Slovakia here. Gender, M. You can put M, F, or O if you want to put some other gender. Let's stick to those 3, maybe. Age. And then you put whether you agree to share your data with the others. And whether you agree to use the data for educational scientific purposes. Yes or no? No. Okay. I do share, but like I'm just going to encourage you, if you feel free to say no, and then we will think again. And of course, when we have all no's, then we will say please or something like that, you know. I'm going to say yes. So when Tuka shares this database with you, you just fill your row in this way. Try to be sort of consistent a little bit. This is very important when we create metadata. It creates a little bit of headaches. Usually, most of the things are sort of savable by coding, but it just requires extra lines of code. So it's very handy to kind of stick to it and put, let's say, 3 characters for the speaker ID. You know, and of course try to be unique. We will check if by accident occurs that, you know, there are 2 pre's or something like that, then we will ask somebody to change it. Mother tongue, now we will actually have you can put sort of essentially any mother tongue or mother tongues here. I will show you a little table. We have the languages you reported in one of the forms you filled. Those we found the ISO codes for them. These are Indian languages. That was actually, I was waiting for Tuka to send me because he updated it kindly. So there is a slide here later on when these ISO codes are listed. Okay, but we will put this ISO code because this is the language of the recording, if you know what I mean. But you can put the mother tongues whatever you wish. You can use ISO code. Then we will sort of somehow try to make sense of that because we have no clue what languages there are. Coming back to here, yeah. So, for example, what's kind of good thing to have is the gender. Don't put the capital, put the lowercase, otherwise somebody has to convert it. Computer is sort of silly, it kind of doesn't know that capital M is the same as lowercase m. It can be told to consider them, but it's an extra line of code. Try not to put some spaces somewhere there, because also those spaces, you know, it's kind of invisible when if I put here, like, you know, M and a space and go away, it's invisible. But script will notice. And then it will create the new gender category, which is M underscore, like that, you know. So this is kind of, this is a dull thing to be kind of consistent, but it of course helps when you have coded a lot and you start thinking like a program. You know what program might like and what it might not like. So now I can see that Tuka has shared the thing. So I don't know, please feel free to fill it in. Oh, it's filling up nicely. One thing which we could have changed, for example, was the states. We could have come up with, and we might need to post hoc come up with some proper abbreviation of the states, so we know that UP is Uttar Pradesh and things like that. But that can be done for the small database like this. It can be done kind of online. For if you do something really big, you might create some drop boxes or something like that. So it sort of simplifies your. This can be post hoc changed, like we roughly know what corresponds to what, and unify it. This is cool. Okay, I can leave this on briefly, so you can use this if you want. We could, of course, as I was talking earlier, we could have collected where you are staying, because that might, of course, influence your language and all sort of other information. But let's not get too ambitious. You know, we will have relatively little data. So, yeah. Okay. Of course, there is a possibility that somebody is missing here. Then, of course, you just add your email address there. And we needed to kind of pre-fill it somehow, because if you started filling row by row, it would create all the chaos. You know, these things they support the multiple people using that, but not that greatly. You know, the lines would start getting rewritten and all that. So this is probably safer. But 1 or 2 people can be easily added. As I said earlier, like you can withdraw any type of information. You don't have to fill all of the ages. Like if you don't feel like sort of telling somebody how old you are or something like that, it's absolutely fine. So I can see that many people are sort of done, and the others, you can do this now or later, and people who are online as well, of course, we will get everything. So next step is to look at the files, to look at the recordings. So now it's time to open your Prat. And so, you know, you open the Prat by sort of double clicking on it or something. It usually, well, I can open your Prat, my Prat, sorry. Usually it opens with this Prat picture, which almost every phonetician has a reflex to close immediately, but some people leave it. I'm wondering sometimes how many sort of person hours have been spent in human history in closing the Prat drawing windows. You know, I must say myself, I must spend like weeks of my life to closing that Prat window. And then you get sort of Prat. Then you open the file, you record it, hopefully. This is, if you know where it is, I'm actually not sure if I remember where I put mine. Read from file, okay, it's here. I put mine right here. Doesn't really matter how it's called at the moment. Okay, so if it all goes well, I record in the WAV format. So I have it opened straightforwardly. This is like one recording with my Slovak version. I don't know whether you actually have recorded the files in one long recording, presumably, hopefully, most of you. Does everybody, what type of formats have you used? Have you used WAV format, your file now? Does anybody have any other format? MP4? M4A. M4A. We can try to see whether Prat opens it. Okay, yeah, that's fine. This might be something. Can you put a little note in the metadata, just beyond, just to put whatever converted from, you know? Everybody who converted the file, we might be able, the machine learning might spot it. So we might be kind of, if your data point is sort of outstanding, we might have this extra sort of remark. There's nothing wrong with this. In particular, for sort of educational purposes, it might be very educational. That's why I want to see it there. Everybody who kind of has the file opened in some other, yes. Our voice is not clear. Is it better now? Somebody recorded someone else narrating this story. That's absolutely fine. Although we would want to know then the language and the sort of maybe for the metadata, I'm talking to, is it Amanda? For the metadata, we might want then you fill the given sort of log with sort of that person's information. If you know what I mean. You don't have to change the email address, it really doesn't really matter. That's an arbitrary sequence of strings. But maybe you can fill that person's information. So for example, if it's if it's a different gender than you, so we are not sort of considering somebody, some file which is recorded by female as recorded by male or the other way, vice versa. So that would be super cool. So have people in general managed to load their file into Praat? Okay. So now this should be relatively easy. So now we open the file. When you press, of course there's many people who use the Praat, but you press this, you select the file and press this view and edit. It then, with a bit of luck, it opens and there is a waveform open. Presumably your version is longer than 10 seconds, unless you are a really fast reader. So then if it opens you will see nothing here because some sort of spectral processing and what have you is a bit slow, so the Praat is set that it only shows the processing for things shorter than 10 seconds. So then we can select like this. I'm just selecting I press down the whatever mouse here and select the portion of the speech, press the cell here. And here you will see that you have some particular spectrum and all sorts of quiggles and quaggles. So there are some formants, we can hide them. Then there is some not very good signal process, the pitch processing. There is an octave jump here, for example, easily visible. We can look into that in a minute. Let's first chop the files. We can chop the files, so I'm gonna play, I'm not sure how it is gonna play, but I'm gonna play this sound. Aha.
Severák a slnko sa raz hádali, kto je silnejší. Severák a slnko. Severák a slnko sa raz hádali, kto je silnejší.
Now, in this particular case, I don't think that we are sharing the sound from my computer out. I don't know if you can hear it. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't say anything which is particularly informative. And yeah, and it's in Slovak anyway. So what you do, if you listen to it, you listen to it by press. You can even select a little bit, like this. And if you press down the interval here, it will play that given portion. So I have chosen, this is the first phrase, actually the title. Severák a slnko, north wind and the sun. In Slovak, rather bizarrely, we have a word for the north wind called severák. It means like norther or something like that. It shows how important the north winds are in my part of the world. We don't have the word for south wind. We would have to say south wind, but for the north wind we have. So now, I select it. It turns red. I selected this utterance here, severák a slnko. So it's 1.22 seconds. You can again just double check whether it's the correct bit.
Severák a slnko.
And then the easiest thing, I can go here to the file and press save selected sound as wave. Press that. And then I'm gonna save it here. So how shall I save it? So I'm gonna here double check the speaker ID. Your I put. So I'm saving this your underscore. Then so I take the language first, sorry. So I save it as language svk underscore my name, or rather the 3-letter speaker ID used here. That's very important. 3-letter speaker ID precisely as it's here. The language, the language as it's here. I had the silica there, by the way. Your gender, the same when I put there. And sentence 1, S1. S1. I'll share it from here. So it's the LAN. That's the 3-letter abbreviation of the language as in the metadata. Then underscore person. That's the 3-letter abbreviation used in the metadata. Try to be consistent with the capitals and lower cases. Then underscore, then the gender F, M, O. And then underscore S, 1. First one. These are the ISO codes here. Sorry? Chopping them into sentences. Yeah. So this is the sentence, this is the first sentence. I selected it and I'm saving it. Now actually what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this, copy this and put this to my whatever it is, the clipboard, and save. Now go back to Prat, and this as it happens is the second sentence.
Severák a slnko sa raz hádali, kto je silnejší.
Okay, I selected it. You can select the sentence a little bit further apart, a little bit less. If you go out, you should mostly be able to see the sentences. In particular, if it's a read speech, we leave some gaps, we take a breath. So you can more or less see the sentences. You can a little bit play them.
Severák a slnko sa raz hádali, kto je silnejší.
So this is the second sentence. I'm happy with that. Save selected sound as WAV file. I copy, oops, I pressed Control. So I copy this, but put S2. This is the second sentence. So we will have, for some reason, the Slovak version of the North Wind and the Sun is chopped to short sentences. So I will like 10 of them. S2, save. Now, because I've done this before, this is the third sentence. I happen to know, I can listen to it.
Tedy šiel okolo cestovateľ zanabúšený v teplom plášti.
Cool. Save selected sounds away file. You only put the clipped ones, yeah? Yeah. We want you to clip them to sentences, and then we put those sentences or utterances into the folder, and those we will process. Okay? So I'm gonna now, so I could continue, but this is more important. So I can share these ISO codes, and these are the naming conventions, yeah? The 3-letter abbreviation of the language from this table. If there is if there is a language which is not here in this table, try to put ISO code Slovak or something like that. The Google will tell you the ISO code, and or ask us. The one thing, why we want actually, by the way, ISO, because with the ISO we can find some coordinates automatically for roughly where the language is speaking. We can associate it with all of those map features and all those type of things. Well, and we will, through the ISO, we can sort of try to, potentially access some databases which contain some information about the language, essentially. So, yeah. So let's all go and chop and ask any questions. Let me see here if anything is happening on this front. Any questions? Of course, if you have any problem, please raise your hand. There is plenty of people with a lot of experience here with this type of work. Tuka and Abi and myself and Lena, and like more than half of you are experienced with that. So please ask for help if you need. So raise your hand. Raise your hand and yeah. And of course, when you are done, you can upload those files to the folder which Tuka provided. Tuka can keep an eagle eye on that to see whether there are any potential issues. Have you shared the drive with me as well? And audio, okay. So there is the audio, and I can just drop those few sentences I made, just drop there. Like here we have the puja, then there is a sort of, this is hin, pu, okay. And of course we have the English version as well. Like let's do one language first and then the other language, okay? So the other language, we just put eng at the beginning. This is the language of the recording, okay? If you have it recorded in English, we put eng, and then your name, abbreviation, like the rest is gonna be the same, okay? So, and we will figure out, because we are interested in maybe checking whether we can somehow cluster the recordings based on the sort of mother tongue of even in English. I have to admit I don't have high hopes that it's going to work, but it's worth a try. So, but we of course find the mother tongue from the metadata. It's fine. If it's a long sentence, absolutely fine. Yeah, it doesn't really matter for this particular purpose. Let's chop it by sentences. It's a very good question. Sometimes we don't want the sentences to vary massively in the length. So we might decide then to chop things by phrases. But then we have to think hard what are the phrases and how to actually find them. Because this actually, the version I recorded in Slovak happens to be the version we used for some particular thing, the Slovak version. So we actually shortened the sentences. We chopped them already. We sort of split some longer sentences to shorter. So it's not sort of a canonical version, but version which is good for this type of a thing. So that's another possibility that you might decide when you record something to kind of a little bit adjust the text for your purposes. Tomorrow, if all goes well, we will use these data also to kind of look at some very simple classifiers, just an example. Maybe we will extract maybe some very, very rudimentary measures like F0, maybe average, or F0 standard deviation or something like that. But then Priyanku will show you some scripts how to kind of do that in an easy way and a fast way. So we will use hopefully this database for several different purposes. There is some information in chat. Can I see the chat here? First sentence about 8 seconds long. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, I will go through the process of chopping in a second. And yes, let's do the same process for the English recordings, but there we put the ENG as the language name. So all of those English recordings will start ENG underscore 3 letters for you underscore gender underscore sentence number. Yeah, long sentence is fine.
As long as it's like below 20 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Stuka is saying below 20 seconds is good. So again, the chopping process. I'm very happy to do that. So, oops, no, this is the wrong program. What did I say before? I'm crazy closer of the things. I managed to close my Prat as well. Oh, I'm glad to appreciate it. So, you open the Prat, you open the file, read from file, and open the original recording. It's here. And then you can press view and edit the recording, and here are the sentences. Sometimes it might be a little bit misleading, so sometimes you might need to take a breath in the middle of the sentence, so don't trust necessarily the raw waveform that these are precise sentences. Maybe, who knows, we can check if this is one long sentence. I actually took these first 3 so far. 1, 2, 3. Good thing is to zoom in a little bit. So I select some portion of the signal. I'm selecting it by kind of pressing the whatever on the mouse. Let me see how does it work. Is this a real mouse? Yeah, like that. So I press the what is it, left button and hold it, like I drag it through. So I select something. You can press this selection. It sort of zooms in on the selected thing. So which one was? There was the first, second, third. So I already used these. Fourth one looks like this. So you select. This looks like a sentence. You select it, you listen to it.
Severák a slnko sa rozhodli, že zvíťazí ten, kto donúti cestovateľa vyzlieť si plášť.
That's a sentence. So you select that sentence roughly, more or less. You can do it sort of, maybe, you can see where the speech signal starts and ends roughly. This was not particularly good recording. There is a lot of noise. We don't worry about that now. And you you select the sentence, and you go press File, Save Selected Sounds as a WAV file. It opens the whatever some folder which you decide to use, and you take language, your 3-letter abbreviation, male, and this is S4. Now you save. It should be sitting there. Next you go further. Maybe this is a very short sentence. Indeed it is. So I can press File, Save Selected Sound. I actually kind of cheat by pressing this S4 and then changing the 4 to 5 and save. Next one looks like this is a sentence. Indeed it is. If the sentence doesn't fit into the window, you can press this out and go out, out, out. Or if you want to zoom in, you can use this in, and zoom in on the signal. This is another sentence. Again, selected it, File, Save Selected Sound as WAV file, press, and this is sentence number 6. We go for next. Oh, this is a very short sentence by the look of it. 1.5 seconds long. North wind gave up. Say it again.
Can I quickly go and record the English one because I forgot?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. If you find some nice place, somewhere quiet, or we can be very quiet, but maybe outside would be nicer. Perfect. Maybe I should go as well to record the English one because I haven't done that. Sentence 7. Save. Eight. And 9. So the Slovak fable had 9 sentences. So 9 utterances we ended up. And I can upload the remaining one. Why not? We can upload my other ones. We can include Slovak among the languages.
So what will be if it's more than 10 seconds?
10 seconds is okay. More than 10. How much more than 10 seconds?
10.45.
That's fine. That's fine. Up to 20, it's okay. Of course, if there is some natural place when to chop the sentence in halfway, that also can be done. But if you took the deep breath or something like that, it also can be done. It's not a problem. What we will do with these sentences, we will a little bit scramble them together anyway. So we will try to calculate the mean representation for each of you, or of the language, even if we have multiple speakers of the language, and see what happens. Oh, now it started nicely. By the way, in our chat we have provided quite a few translations of the versions of the fable, and we asked those which we didn't have the language to translate it yourselves. How many people did that? Yeah. Did you, if there was, for example, there are a couple of Angami speakers here. I don't know actually. Yeah, there I can see them. Did you share that translation, or were you actually from the same Same village, if I understand, if I remember well. So you share the translation. So it's the same text you recorded, both of you. Or?
So I recorded the standard one and she recorded.
Excellent. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm just curious to see what sort of differences we have. Mm-hmm. Of course, if you can record also the version with what Janae recorded, it would be kind of cool. Then we could, of course, we have to come up with some new abbreviation, sort of RNS and RNJ or something like that. So, that might be kind of cool to have. Ideally, what one would want in this corpora would be to have the same speakers talk in all the languages, in some sense. So we can balance things. So you can again know that what you are looking are not speakers' idiosyncrasies, but the language things. But of course, this is not achievable, really. But when there are opportunities like that, that's kind of cool. There are some sort of, I'm looking at the recordings. I hope you don't mind me running through these recordings. And they are, when you upload the things to the to the audio folder in the corpus, you can kind of maybe go back and have a look a little bit whether your format matches the other things. I actually have it ordered here by name. That's the easy way for me to kind of find my own recordings and check that all seems to be fine, Some of them, for example, some of the recordings, I don't exactly know why is that, but they sort of miss the extension. So I'm not completely sure whether go here and rename. So maybe I wonder whether this should be renamed to add the wave. And I assume, actually probably the system knows it's a waveform or not, but some of the file names do have the wave extension and some don't. So I'm not completely sure whether Tuka is waving his hand saying like I can fix that easily, but it's a good thing to kind of do it sort of consistently. This is when kind of usually a lot of pain later on when using this is a very small thing and we can easily do it by hand, but when Lina probably can tell the very, very many tragic stories where, and all of us who collected some database know that once things get sort of a little bit inconsistent, it can lead to sort of kind of difficult things. Mm-hmm. But this is super cool. Kiriprano says that her Angami translation might not be the same as the other translation. Should you change language code, or NJM is NJM, is that the standard code for the Angami? Or NJM, yes. Keep NJM, and we will. It's an Angami translation. It doesn't necessarily hugely matter whether the text is the same. You remember what we were talking about today, that we had all of these languages from completely different recordings and things still worked. So yes, absolutely. Well, I was talking to the other two Angami speakers here, that if we are curious, we can sort of cross-record all the standard Angami and the dialect and all that. That would be, interesting also to have a look. We can come up with some impromptu little corner of the potential thing to see whether all of them cluster together, for example, what are the relationships. It would be the second mini project on Angami with Janae, which we have done in the last couple of years.
The MP4 to WAV thing, where are we supposed to
Write it anywhere in the metadata, like this. This is fine. We will find it. This is more like, if something is a little bit like outlier, we can go to the metadata and check like what could have caused this, and then we check it out. Sometimes, or usually in metadata, you would have this column which is like a note. And then you start putting the notes, and very often you realize that, there is some systematicity in these notes. So maybe we create a new column for that and capture it. If there is half of them are converted, then we would probably create a column, say converted yes or no, and so say, and use that as a source of variation. So that would be another additional source of variation which we either want to investigate or want to sort of somehow balance out or signal process out or statistical process out or whatever. To ignore, as I called it today, or to make our methods ignore. By the way, that S and the thing, it doesn't, I don't want that number there. I want the S and then that hash should be replaced with a number, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should have, I think I didn't say that. By the way, I don't think that we will do anything else than this today here. I think that on this tutorial I don't think we'll do anything else than this. So if you are, of course we might still find some issues, but if you are kind of done, I think it's fine to go, is no problem. If you have uploaded all the versions and everything and you're happy, you checked whether your names and uploads look the same as everybody else and all that, feel free to, sorry to cut it a bit short. I've never done this type of, you know, all India database creation online, so I had really no idea how long it might take. But obviously you are much more skilled than, you know, not that I expected, but then I estimated, you know, estimate how long it would take me to do this. Of course, if you did not, did not do some of the versions and you still feel like you might want to, you know, you can always, this same process, it's online, you can always do that, upload more later.